Hi, my name is Lenin Castro and I'm going to tell you a story about how French became a language. The history of French begins with the invasion to Gallia by the Roman Empire led by Julio Caesar. Between the 3rd century and the 1st century BC, Romans expanded their empire and they imposed their language, Vulgar Latin, making the Gaul disappear in the 3rd century, and Latin was used as written language. The Gallic territory was populated by four ethnic groups whose language disappeared. With the decline of the Roman Empire, some people of German origins settled in Gaul, mainly the Franks and the Visigoths. Gaul was greatly influenced by Germanic invasions into the country. These invasions had the greatest impact on the northern part of the country and on the language there. The population in the north spoke language Dioil, while the population in the south spoke language Dioc. Language Diol grew into what is now known as Old French. The period of Old French spanned between the 8th century and 14th century. Old French shares many characteristics with Latin. The development of modern French is divided in three eras: the Grand Cycle, the Enlightenment, and the French Revolution. In the second half of the 17th century, with powerful leaders such as Cardinal Richelieu and the Sun King Louis XIV, France was on a period of prosperity known as the Grand Cycle. Richelieu established the Académie Française to promote and keep an eye on the French language. The Academy's task was to keep the language pure. As a result, many words, particularly those unique to the rural provinces or borrowed from another language, were deleted. By the 1714, French became the primary language of the aristocracy. It was used in an international agreement for the first time with the Treaty of Rastatt. From then until World War I, French remained as the language of international diplomacy. With the rise of English power, revolutionary ideas of its greatest political thinkers such as John Locke influenced on French thoughts and philosophers like Jean-Jacques Rousseau and Voltaire. In addition to come up with the revolutionary ideas about liberty, natural laws, and rights of men, these men also contributed to the French vocabulary. The storming of the Bastille on July 14, 1789, the people began the hard work of crafting a republic. This began with the belief that the best way to unite the French people was with a common language. As the official language or one of the official languages of 33 countries, it's unsurprising that within the French language different variations and dialects exist, yet in France itself, Parisian French came to be upheld as the model for French language. Structurally, the language hasn't changed too much since the standardization, although linguistically, French is always evolving. One of the most exciting things about any language.